Today we continue the story of Abraham, and also of his nephew Lot. We haven't heard anything about him since he and Abraham parted ways. But to better understand what happened, let's go back for a moment. After Abraham made a covenant with God and had himself and all the males in his household, including the slaves, circumcised, the Lord appeared to him. It was the middle of the day, and Abraham was sitting in the heat of the day in front of his tent when suddenly 3 men appeared before him. But these were no ordinary visitors. It was the God of the Old Testament, Jesus Christ, accompanied by 2 angels. We are commanded not to make any images of God or angels. Therefore, we will refrain from doing so here. When Abraham saw the men, he rushed toward them, bowed reverently to the ground, and said, "My Lord, if I have now found favor in your sight, do not pass on by your servant. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread that you may refresh your hearts." The men accepted the offer, and Abraham had fresh bread baked and a calf prepared. The 3 men sat down together to eat. While they were eating, the men asked, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" "Here in the tent," Abraham replied. Then the Lord said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, "Now that I am so old, shall I have a child?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, 'Shall I surely have a child since I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time next year I will return to you, and Sarah shall have a son." Frightened, Sarah denied it, saying, "I did not laugh." But the Lord replied, "Yes, you did laugh." After this conversation, the men left. Abraham accompanied them part of the way and looked down with them towards Sodom, the city where his nephew Lot lived. Then the Lord said to himself, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing, since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? For I have known him, in order that he may command his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of the Lord, to do righteousness and justice, that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has spoken to him." So the Lord said to Abraham, "Because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grave, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me, and if not, I will know." While the 2 angels turned away from there and went towards Sodom, Abraham stood before the Lord. And Abraham came near and said, "Would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there were 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous that were in it?" The Lord replied, "If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes." Abraham continued, "Suppose there were 5 less than the 50 righteous. Would you destroy all of the city for lack of 5? The Lord said, "If I find 45 there, I will not destroy it." Abraham continued, "Lord, do not be angry, but what if there are only 40? But the Lord said, "Then I will not destroy the city." Abraham kept pleading with the Lord until he finally said, "Lord, let me plead one more time. What if there are only 10 righteous people there?" The Lord said, "Then I will spare the city for the sake of those 10. After this conversation, the Lord went on his way, and Abraham returned home. Now the 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, "Here now, my lords, please turn into your servant's house and spend the night, and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way." But they replied, "No, but we will spend the night in the open square." But he insisted strongly. So they turned into him and entered his house. Then he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Now before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter, surrounded the house. And they called to Lot and said to him, "Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can sleep with them." So Lot went out to them through the doorway, shut the door behind him, and said, "Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." But the men shouted, "Stand back! This one came in to stay here, and he keeps acting as a judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them." So they pressed hard against the man Lot and came near to break down the door. But the angels reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them and shut the door. And they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they became weary trying to find the door. Then the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here? Son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, and whomever you have in the city, take them out of this place, for we will destroy this place." Lot hurried to his sons-in-law and warned them, "Get up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city." But they thought he was joking and did not take him seriously. At dawn, the angels urged Lot again, "Get up, take your wife and 2 daughters who are here and go, or you will be consumed in the punishment of the city." But Lot hesitated. So the angels took him, his wife, and his daughters by the hand and led them out, for the Lord wanted to spare him. "Escape for your life," the angels warned. "Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be destroyed." Lot pleaded with them, "I can't escape to the mountains. I won't make it in time. There is a small town there. Let me flee there, so that my life will be saved." "All right," said the angel. "I accept your proposition and won't destroy that small town. But hurry, for I can do nothing until you are there." The sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah out of the heavens. So he overthrew those cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. But his wife looked back behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Early in the morning, Abraham hurried to the place where he had spoken with the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and saw smoke rising from the land like smoke from a furnace. The cities were destroyed, but God had remembered Abraham's plea and saved Lot and his daughters